Hello, everyone. We welcome you to Glass Academy Webinars 2023. The theme for this year is Art and Science of Designing Responsibly. Today, we have with us architect Monika Gupta. Architect Monika graduated from Chandigarh College of Architecture in 2005 with a degree in architecture. Discovering the power of healing architecture that could influence real world change, she found her interest in footing in healthcare planning and holds a master's degree in the same field. Having 18 plus years of experience in healthcare sector, architect Monika holds a background in the successful delivery of projects across a variety of sectors from concept to completion. She is among one of the directors at Sikka Associates in Architects Delhi. Strong team management and the capability of putting views with a variety of agencies and other professionals are her key strengths. Architect Monika was honored as a guest speaker on the 167 CPWD Day, and her presentation on emerging medical technologies in healthcare infrastructure was also featured in CPWD publication. Her thoughts on the journey of an Indian female architect was featured as an article in Interiors and Design magazine, March 23 issue. Architect Monika was also among one of the North jury members for the architecture category of the 17th edition of Saint Gobain Transparence, which is India's largest design competition for students of architecture and design. She was also featured in She is Limitless series by AIS Glass India on the occasion of International Women's Day. Adding up to all her professional accomplishments in her life, architect Monika believes that success in life cannot be achieved without facing obstacles, and the same applies in inward. In the parallel world, she loves to do trekking and goes on expeditions with a long bucket list in her bag. Her latest being an exceptional lifetime experience to scale Everest Base Camp, which sounds phenomenal to my ears. Welcome, Architect Monika. We are delighted to have you here with us today, and we are looking forward to your presentation. Let's hear from you on the topic, wellness and glass. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Anvita. So, hello everyone. First of all, I would like to congratulate Saint Gobain and Ethos Empower for conducting this webinar series, which has actually given me an opportunity to put forward my thoughts on how glass and wellness go hand in hand. Being an healthcare architect and well-being and the quality of life, these are the driving motives behind any of my designing criterias in the healthcare facility. And which, having said that, glass plays actually a vital role in creating functional structures that are not just aesthetically appealing, but also promote human well-being. So from here onwards, I would like to share my presentation. Okay. So to start with, let us understand what is health. Health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. It is not merely the absence of any infirmity or the disease. So it is not like I'm saying, hospitals are the commercial buildings which focus basically on the physical well-being of the patient. And nowadays, we are forgetting about the other parameters, which are mental, environmental, social, and emotional need of the patient as well. So there is a strong need to humanize the hospitals. So my question to all the architects over there is, will only the green architecture justifies the healthcare industry? According to me, no. Emotional, psychological, and social needs of the patients and the caregivers can be fulfilled by bringing the environment within the built mass. So the art and the science of designing responsibly is much required. As an architect, green architecture yet alone does not justify. And in today's world, hospitals have become the industries which are basically the commercial industries, and this needs to be humanized strongly. Definitely a need of framework through the innovative design solutions for the well-functioning buildings, which we term as RHED, which is Restorative Healthcare Environmental Design. So for the healthcare architecture, two underlying principles which are contributing towards RHED are biophilic and the cellulogenic design approaches. These are need to be mentioned over here because these are the designing basic design parameters which are required and to be understood for designing any healthcare building. So what is biophilia? The design approach that seeks to connect the building occupants more closely to the nature, and that needs to be taken care while designing the building by the architect. And what is cellulogenic approach? To understand this, we need to understand what is pathogenic approach. So pathogenesis is basically what the doctors do in the hospitals by treating the physical condition or by maintaining the physical parameters of the patient by giving the medicines to fight against the pathogens. But what actually matters to the patient over there sitting, imagine yourself being admitted and you are given all the facilities, given the medicines, well care treatment, but what is a salutogenic approach? So salutogenesis is basically, it is the support which enhances the manageability, comprehensibility, and the meaningfulness of the treatment. So, in other words, adding a sense of coherence, which contributes towards the natural process of recovery, is the salutogenic approach. So, how it is achieved? It is again lies the responsibility lies on the architect's shoulders. So, as to while designing any hospital building, we need to have these two basic design parameters in mind, so as to humanize the present day hospital or the healthcare buildings. And according to me, to achieve this, glass is a beautiful and intelligent element, which, if used in the right way, it can rightfully fit in achieving these goals. So, which I will be running this framework in the coming slides. So, to have the better clarity. So, let us understand how glass is perceived as an architectural element. We all know that we are using glass widely in almost all the sets of the building. So how it is like for architects, glass is perceived as an element which allows natural light to flow into the buildings, and this is actually proven to contribute towards the occupants' well-being. So glass with high VLT, this helps in creating well-lit environment which is enjoyed by the occupants of the building. Similarly, low coated glass allows us to control the solar heat and light that passes through it. So with glass facade, the occupants inside can gain access to the outside world, which ultimately helps in reducing stress and provides better and enjoyable working conditions. Hence, with the emerging trends and technologies, glass has proven as a building material which promotes the well-being of the occupants of any building. So what is special about the glass in the healthcare building? To understand that, we have to understand who are the end users of any healthcare building. So, as when we always say, we say doctors and the patients. No, we are forgetting about the staff, which stands like a pillar for any hospital building, and definitely the attendants. We may say, if half of the care has been given to the attendants, the patient care is achieved. We need to have the well taken care attendant spaces as well within the building. So coming to the patient comfort first, so my focus would be on the glass and the healthcare buildings. So let's see in the coming slides how the glass is promoting patient health in particular. So the innovative use of glass and glaze systems that can make a uh, significant development in the patient recovery is now a well-known, I would say, study. So scientific evidences are also there, which show that patients who are exposed to the natural light, they tend to spend less time in hospitals and they have a better recovery period, vis-a-vis a patient who is like admitted in a room with no windows at all. And this is also a proven fact that after a surgery, if the patient or a procedure treatment or a surgical treatment, so if a patient is exposed to an area which has a green view overlooking, so the patient requires less manageability, less pain management, less stress management. And all this can be achieved, I need not less to say, through the glass only. So the exposure to the daylight that acts actually as a medicine now that positively affects the heart rate, pressure, human immune system, metabolism, and the mood of the patient. So this is one example which we have from one of the hospitals in Delhi itself, where the patient bed is aligned in parallel to the window. It is not over the head on the backside of the window. So this is really important. How do you place a window within the patient ward? Patient should have the full view, and as we can see, the attendant's couch and attendant's chairs are also adjoining to the window itself. So the staff is coming from the opposite end through the door and they are managing the patient immediately after entering the room without being getting disturbed by the attendant's chair or the couch. And so the patient is given like a homely atmosphere. So there is like evidence based, and many theories have come up to the principles that positively and consistent they have the positive and consistent impact on the patient outcomes. So the on the in the patient room, we are trying to achieve increased natural light, view to the nature, increased interaction between the caregivers and the patients, and definitely the quiet environments. Now coming to the journal ward, what we generally get to see in the general ward is like we have a 6 module arrangement or the 8 bed module arrangement or even the twin sharing rooms. Then we have a curtain track system in between. But my question is like these curtains, which are supposed to be providing security and privacy, but they are actually accumulating a lot of germs and dust, which can prove definitely unhygienic to the patient within. So nowadays, with the smart technologies, we have the smart glass, which allows switch from transparent to the varying opacity, sorry, levels for the instant privacy. Like you can see in the image shared by me over here, the smart glass usage. One side it is like transparent, fully transparent between the two beds, and one side it is opaque, and it goes generally with one switch. So the switchable smart glass panels can easily be changed from clear to opaque, ensuring the patient privacy in the general ward, and they are simple to clean, maintain, just like any normal glass, and hygienic alternative to the traditional hospital curtains and blinds, which add, to the unhygienic conditions in the general ward, preferably where more than two patients are there. This is one more example of the chemo daycare ward. Chemotherapy is one stream that deals with the cancer patients. And believe me, this is the most tragic, I would say, line of treatment what the patient has to undergo. So, having said that, when the it is like a daycare procedure, I would like to add to that, and the patient has to spend a full day in the ward, in which the patient undergoes a long day procedure where the chemo medicine, is infused within the body. It is a very painful and traumatized experience. So, to maintain the patient right then and there is really important. You cannot just make the patient lie on a bed and get the medicine infused and tell him, okay, you're done, you can go home. No, managing the patient right then and there is really important. This is one of the example of an award-winning design of chemotherapy daycare ward, where the recliners are aligned parallel to the large windows which are overlooking the landscape green. And all the other support services are tucked on the other side of the corridor, which are managed by the nurse stations and the technician staffs over there. So the patients are really well managed over there. So the researchers have actually found that the patients who see a landscape green over their room, they require less time in hospital after surgery and less pain management and less trauma experience. So this was like the major areas, the private ward, the general ward, the daycare wards, which I have covered, try to cover in the for the patients. Now coming to the next category, who are caregivers in providing healthcare, who are actually caregivers are very important members of any healthcare building, which spend maximum time in the hospital building. So the goal of the hospital staff, like the paramedical staff, the nurses, technicians, support staff, their main goal is to help to give the maximum possible care to the patients and help them return to their home in the at the earliest with the minimum recovery time. So, as we have seen during the COVID times, that the caregivers have long served as the pillars to support within the healthcare buildings, even when the doctors are not even there. So, they play a very important role. So, my point over here is we should give, as an architect, we have the responsibility to provide certain features or to take care of their long run hours also in the hospital building. So let's start with the COVID thing only, or any such epidemical situation which may arise. So, with the benefit of the switchable privacy glass, as you can see in the adjoining figure. So, what I've tried to show over here is like there is a switchable privacy glass in the corridor. So, the patient is isolated due to some epidemic disease, and he's being monitored from the other side of the corridor without being entering into the room. So the caregiver is continuously monitoring, can continuously monitor the patient under examination without removing any blinds or anything. And on the parallel side, 24 hours care can be ensured without getting contaminated himself or herself. So this is a very smart advantage, thankfully, due to the glass. Now, this is one ICU or isolation ward, again goes where the staff continuously has to monitor the patient. Through the hermetically sealed sliding doors, so we are able to achieve two things over here. One is that we can monitor while being in the corridor itself. So this ensures that the fatigue to the staff is not there. The staff can monitor the patient right from the sitting desk over there without getting entered into the isolation ward. And definitely in the same room, we have given the switchable panels also, glass panels also, through where the other parameters of the patient can be monitored. So this is other advantage, that the positive or the negative pressure, whatever we need according to the disease in the isolation ward, that can be achieved through these hermetically sealed doors as well. Now, adding comfort to the doctors. We all know that the doctors, they have the majorly three domains. One is OPD, one is like the visiting in the IPDs, and third one is the long surgical hours, the surgical department. So during the time of the surgery, doctors have to spend long working hours in the OD complex where they have to face the, I would say, blood and all, and they continuously work under stress for long operating hours. Now, it has always been a divided opinion whether to give windows in the OTs operating rooms or not. It is actually, uh, I am in the favor of giving view windows, overlooking view windows connecting to the nature in the ORs as well, because with the emerging technologies and glass has given us the solutions where we can control the amount of daylight entering into the ORs without compromising its temperature, without compromising the infection control, the heat gain, the UV damage, etc. So this actually gives it a better condition for the long working and the operating procedures, I would say, for the doctors as well as for the staff. And operating theater windows, they add to the stress-free healing surgical units. Now coming to the next category, attendants and the visitors. So like I've already said, if you are taking care of attendants and the visitors, so half of the battle has been won by the hospital staff in managing the patient. Because half of the time the attendants, they are making chaos, definitely out of stress. And so they need to be taken care immediately when they are entering into the hospital. So when they are entering into the reception lobbies in the hospital building, immediately they should have a sense of relief. And how do we achieve it? By bringing the natural light in, by making the reception lobbies cheerful through the use of lacquered glass or back painted glasses. And this needs to be, this is actually should be a mandate to be done, because I'm saying attendance needs to be taken care. Patient can be thereafter taken care by the doctors and the staff, but the attendance mindset and stress-free entrance, this itself needs to the success of any hospital building. So glass with high VLT is a key to create a naturally well-lit interior and bringing the atmosphere in. So depending upon the climate, we can actually choose between the various types of glasses. And we have to be very intelligent for choosing the right glass at the right place and in the right facade. So using glass to bring the sunlight deeper into the structure, that allows more enjoyable experience to the occupants within the building. And according to me, glass is the ideal material to ensure that the living individuals working can gain access to the outside and experience the optimal amount of daylight just because of the glass. So attendants are the one who accompany the patients immediately when they are entering into the hospital building. So who are visitors? Visitors are basically the patient, short-term patients who are visiting the OPDs, outpatient departments. So decentralized waiting halls is one of the strategy which I generally apply while designing any hospital building. I believe in modular um, arrangement of the OPDs, where I tend to give decentralized waiting halls. So this is example of one of the OPD arrangement of one of the departments in Capsule project, which which I have completed in Medankadi, New Delhi. So here you can see, after entering into this module, the consultation rooms, they are tucked onto the both side of the waiting hall on this hall, and there is a huge space in the center which acts as a reception and the waiting area, and this all is opening towards the outside through the open windows, as in through the outside on the through the windows. So these waiting halls are naturally lit, they are quite spacious and being decentralized, so every department can have their own waiting halls. So this is less chaotic, and they are managing the uh, visitors which are who are visiting to the OPDs of the building. So having said that, half of the chaos is taken care because OPDs has the maximum footfall in any given healthcare building. So this is really important. How do you manage the OPDs of any building, any healthcare building? So what I have tried to highlight over here is that all the important aspects of the any healthcare building that needs to be problems of the end users that need to be taken care, so that the comfort and the care can be given to each and every single user of the building. So according to me, uh, glass, it is supposed to be used at the right place, right facade, right time, and right place. So you have to use the glass right. So just to sum up, so smart glass technologies enables us to control the capacity of the glass surfaces and opacity and transparency as well. In healthcare, smart glass partitions offer privacy when needed while maintaining openness and visibility. And adjustable smart glass windows, they balance the natural light and privacy. Glass contributes to the healing atmosphere in the hospitals through patient rooms with nature views and access to the natural light. Glass art installations and water features, they create soothing and aesthetically pleasing atmosphere, which is the biophilic approach. Glass promotes cleanliness and infection control with way to easy clean surfaces. Energy efficient glass such as low E coatings and double glazed units reduces energy consumptions as well. So green is also taken care. Sustainability and wellness, they go hand in hand, and environment friendly glass contributes to the healthier environments. So to conclude, glass is more than a transparent material, and it is a conduit for wellness and connection. Embrace the healing power of the glass in your living spaces, workplaces, healthcare buildings, everywhere. And by integrating glass mindfully, we can create environments that promote well being and elevate the human experience. So, thank you all from my side.
Thank you, Architect Monica, for highlighting the need to humanize hospitals by showing us some excellent examples of intelligent intervention of architecture through the use of glass. Your presentation was truly insightful and shined a light on one of the most important institutions of the world, hospitals that carry a sense of responsibility attached to them. And I'm
Definitely.
sure the webinar undoubtedly enriched our viewers' understanding of the important association between wellness and glass, and have
Thank
a
you.
lot of learnings to take away today. And I'm
Thank you.
very curious to know more about your presentation.
Sure.
So I would like to take this opportunity to ask you a few questions about the same.
Definitely.
So my first question is, how does healthcare architecture take into account future scalability and adaptability to meet changing healthcare demands and advancements in medical technology?
Um, so actually, flexibility and adaptability, these are generally considered as the capacity of the building to accommodate any change. Having said that, healthcare sector has to face a lot due to the emerging trends in technology, the demands, and you never know any epidemic or problems if they are arising while the building is still functioning. So why? while designing any healthcare building, these parameters need to be kept in mind, both at micro level and at macro level planning. So starting with the micro level, I would say, if we are given even a patient room, small patient room, for example, so how can you use it or make it flexible to be used by other patients? Because every department has a different requirement. So I would say we have to give a minimum area which can be used by any type of patient of any disease. So we should not standardize it. Uh, I mean, we should standardize in terms of area, but we should not standardize in terms of that this is like only for the medicine department, only for the surgical department. The rooms should be well equipped in terms of MEV services for the use of any department. Like orthopedic department, they need the bigger size rooms, vis-a-vis what we do in the normal, any medicine or the surgical wards. So universally adaptable patient rooms is the key feature at the micro level. There's the modular furniture arrangements and the storage capacities rather than built-in furnitures that should be adopted. And standardization of patient care environment and equipments that also makes, I would say, easier for the staff to do any mistakes in anything. And so this is about the patient room. Now, if you come to the nursing stations, what we see two types of arrangement in any hospital building. So what happens is either we have the centralized nursing stations or we have the decentralized nursing stations. But today's demand is to have more of decentralized nursing stations. So as to, if you have to close few beds for a particular disease in case. So you can do that with the nursing station sitting right beside that. You do not have to do a different arrangement for that matter. So movable, demountable walls definitely is one thing. Drywall, what we are going into majorly, and the glass partitions. Um, During the planning, we should be careful about the vertical cores as well. So we can, this doesn't happen only horizontally. We have to take care of the vertical movements as well. So if you have to divide a section altogether through the vertical left, okay, this section is for this department. So you should be able to do that. And so such kind of flexibilities and the pod facility design, this helps in that the micro level. And during the macro level, uh, see, flexibility and expandability, that should be assessed right at the starting of the planning stage. If I say to the client, okay, this is expandable, but then what, how much extra is required by the client should also be defined. There has to be a limit. You cannot keep on expanding open-ended. So you need to have some expansion limit. So by at the macro level, we can do a strategic site planning. So that allows the future expansion with minimal obstructions. And cost analysis is also definitely is the key factor while doing that. And modularity, like if we suitably sized uniform building grid is applied in the constructions, so we can do that. And flexible arrangement is available throughout the build. And one interesting example, I mean, during the structures also, same applies to the structure. I mean, we always keep a margin of minimum 2 floors additionally while designing any building so that the vertical expansion can happen. But I personally feel, I mean, these vertical expansions does not happen in future because we generally end up in using the terraces with all sort of services and everything. So according to me, the shell space can be made available. You can have the belt mass over there. You cannot furnish. You furnish wherever there is the demand, but the structure should be complete in one go. So, so as the building, so as the MEP services as well, the tapping can be done, and the distribution can be done at the later stage as and when required. But the main rises of all the services should be laid in one go. So this is something I would like to say adds to scalability and adaptability. Yeah.
Excellent, ma'am. Yeah. So, with your expertise in healthcare architecture for 18 plus years, what are some challenges that you faced while designing a healthcare facility and how did you
Oh my God.
overcome?
Okay. Besides the client's requirement keep on changing, that is one challenge which we face no matter what kind of architect you are, no matter what your specialization is. But being a healthcare architect, like what my recent example was in CAP films, when we were just almost about to finish and hand over the building. So what happened? There was like another technology which the client surprisingly became interested in. he was like, I need to have a pneumatic tubular system as well. So please explore the possibilities. Now, so such demands keep on coming. So to cater that, हम थोड़ा area चुरा लेते हैं client से. So what we end up in doing is to provide some structural provisions and structural shafts within the building, which can be used, to cater any future technologies or the future services. So this is how we actually are doing pneumatic tubular system in existing building or the almost finished building of CAFMs. So
Okay.
that was one challenge. Another is like, um, for example, during the renovation of the casualty block in Lok Nayak Hospital, so COVID came, and immediately there was like COVID. LNJP was the COVID center for the central Delhi. So we had taken care of that by changing the HVAC system altogether. So that was something what we because our design was already modular, so it helped greatly to the client. And just by changing doing few alterations in the HVAC system, we could achieve what the client was looking at. And in the Indian mentality settings, we need to have smoke zones, no matter how sterile the area is. And one such example was, without naming the hospital, uh, in the OT complex. Since I was saying, I mean, the procedures go for 16, 20 hours. So there was from the doctor's requirement that we need to have smoke zones within the OT complex. So such kind of arrangements, keeping the sterility also well in hand, and by taking care of the end user, which is more important. Otherwise, the building won't function. So
Correct.
such kind of challenges keep on happening, and I would say that's all.
So we saw some excellent examples of intelligent intervention of glass as a building material
Yes,
that caters to the overall wellness of the users. For
definitely.
example, smart glass that could turn transparent opaque with one switch. So
Mhm.
what are some current trends and innovations in healthcare architecture that are shaping the future of the industry, if I may say?
Uh, Okay. So there are many trends, I would say, that are coming up. One, my first-hand experience is which I love. My favorite domain is the medical technologies. It is basically like the pneumatic tubular systems, I would say. They are coming up. Pneumatic waste collection systems like the laundries and discharge and everything. So, and they are ruling out nowadays, we are ruling out dumb waiters, right, which used to connect with the OTs and the central sterile department. So instead of that, we are using pneumatic tubular systems for the discharges. And other one I would say is like the hospital buildings are going smart in terms of HIS system, where where you had the patient portals, dashboards, applications, the wearable gadgets, everything that is online. So that is IT based. Uh, like I explained in my presentation, the biophilic and the cellulogenic approaches now towards the patient care, increased patient care, they are becoming the trends by bringing the nature and atmosphere inside the building so as to reduce the recovery time. Eco-friendly design and sustainability, that was always there and that will remain there. And now what we have tried to do is to give the patients like a home-like atmosphere. For
Correct.
example, initially we used to have delivery labor room separately, delivery room separately. Now we are ending up in LDRP suites, which is labor, delivery, recovery, and postpartum, where the family even can stay within the room and can enjoy the delivery of the baby. So this has become, more of a patient care towards the patient care.
Correct.
So these are the emerging trends, I would
Yes, absolutely. I've learned a lot in one answer, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
coming to the next question, yeah,
Please carry
designing
on.
responsibly involves taking care of every single aspect of design with intent, right
Yeah,
from the choice of the site to begin with. So, site
yeah,
selection or responsible design intervention is one of the most first and the most important steps in a hospital design. For our
definitely.
listeners, could you please help us give the top five criteria or key components for selecting a hospital site to start with?
Selecting a hospital site, okay, then it really depends. I would like to say, okay, what kind of hospital you are trying to build in there. Okay.
Correct.
Firstly, it depends upon that. Then the demand and the catchment area of the site. If you have any, what is the catchment area? What kind of public you will be catering to? So that defines the site. The position of the site is really, it really matters to the nearby competitor. कि आपका in the vicinity, what kind of hospitals they are already in the market. So distance to the essential locations such as the transport hubs and everything, that is again one of the defining criteria. If your site is located in the far vicinity, then it becomes less viable or less commercial, I would say, uh, in generating or in catching up the population. So these are basically the demands, sorry, the selection criteria, which is basically the demand, environment, vicinity, location, sorry, closeness to the essential services, then the catchment area, then the competition, and I guess these are all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is something what we should really care for before selecting a
Yes.
site.
Yes, ma'am.
And after you have selected the site, then your requirement definitely depends upon, if you are a private player, then it really depends about the revenue generation or the payback period, what you're looking for.
Yeah. So this brings to my last question. I think you answered
Okay.
a part of this, but
Mhm.
I would like to just recall about it.
Sure.
And how do we as architects collaborate with healthcare professionals, like you mentioned, and stakeholders to ensure that the design meets the needs of the facility and its users? Apart, like how do we strike that balance? There are too many parties involved in a hospital design.
Like I've already said, I mean, we have to take care of all the stakeholders, and the
Yeah,
stakeholders essentially those will be the end users of the building. So this is not just about the healthcare, it is about the any such I would say typical professional building where end users demands needs to be taken care. And believe me, architectural solution is not generic. It goes it is like a maths problem, it has to be solved in a similar way, but the results will be different for every problem. So every stakeholder, they have their own demands, and every solution you have to provide as an architect within the, I would say, acceptable and ethical limits. You have to provide the solution and take care of every stakeholder. And
absolutely.
be it the class 4 staff, because you normally see, I mean, the class 4 roaming around in the hospital corridors and having their lunches and all. But very minimum of us, we will take care of the break period where they will take rest, where they have the washrooms of their own. And, so my point is about being the healthcare architect. It is not just about the patients and the doctors. We have other stakeholders which needs to be taken care and provided facilities duly, because they are the one who spend the time maximum in the hospital.
Correct.
Yeah.
That was very informative and insightful. On behalf of all of us at Glass Academy and Ethos, I'd like to thank you for sharing your thoughts with us today. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you.